Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Jan Michael here, in costume to celebrate my review of Wicked. Now, before I begin, I do want to talk about something that's been happening this last Oscar season that's really been pissing me off. See, I've been seeing a lot of people talk about Wicked and whether it should win awards or not, based on the fact that there's another part coming, and thus we should hold off on giving this one anything so we can properly reward it for the second half. And that baffles my mind because those same people that I hear that argument from then also complain and whine that, well, why isn't Dune Part 2 getting more awards despite the fact that there's another part coming out in the future? Now, if you're using that argument in a way where you're to say, well, this is the way the Oscar voters think, and okay, sure, I understand, but to legitimately believe that this is the case, that Wicked should not be getting anything now because another part's coming, but then also whining that, Dune Part 2's not getting anything, that doesn't fly with me. Nah, it doesn't matter if it's a first part, a second part, a fifth part, a 10th part. If a movie is good, it should have a chance at taking home some awards. Which Wicked is kind of good, so... hey, great segue! This is my review of Wicked.
Fellow Ozians, the Wicked Witch of the West is dead.
What is the backstory to the Wicked Witch of the West? How did she become so evil? Was she always this bad? Why is she green? If you've asked yourself these questions and thought, I would like to be told the answers to these in song, then have I got great news for you. Wicked is a play you could totally go see right now if you so choose. But if that's not feasible for whatever reason, the first part of the whole story is now available to watch in movie form. The story actually goes all the way back to the school days of the Wicked Witch of the West, or Elphaba she's known to be called here, and Glinda, or Glinda, and how these two formed a friendship together. Not at first, of course. There is a rivalry between them. You have to kind of get their backstories out of the way. What are their motivations? That's all what this first part is about. Their school life leading all the way up to meeting the Wizard of Oz. The story itself also benefits from it being a musical, which I get, like the original Wizard of Oz was also a musical, but man, the sets that they built for these are quite impressive. In fact, some of the musical numbers almost felt like they had to have a set built around it, which in hindsight is kind of weird because, I mean, do people use the sets that kind of spin all over in like real day-to-day life? And you know what? You're not meant to think that deeply about it. It's a magical world. Things are going to be crazy, and as long as you're buying into the whole song and dance thing, I think you're going to have a good time with it. However, those that decide to take a closer look at the film, especially with their critical eye, well, I strongly caution against because, good lord, whoever decided what the cinematography was going to look like in this film should be ashamed of themselves. Oz has never looked so colorless before, which is crazy because there are vibrant colors here. Why are they choosing to cripple such amazing costumes and fantastic sets by making things look so muddled? There's like a dark brown gel layer over every scene of the film, and it is incredibly distracting. With the exception of when the popular song is sang, where the colors actually started to get brighter and brighter as it kept going on, and that's what I expected the whole film to look like. And just looking at it in the song, you could see exactly what we're missing out on, which also adds to the whole disappointment of what the rest of the film was. At the center of the film are our two protagonists, played by Cynthia, Erivo, and Ariana Grande, respectively. Cynthia brings a sympathetic side to her character, as it is somebody that's been beaten down by life multiple times already. You could tell there's a hesitation to her actions just because she doesn't want to get in trouble or cause trouble for others. But she's not weak, and she will fight when necessary. I do really wish, however, that her progression, her character arc would be more prevalent throughout the film, and I can understand why it's not, because this is just the first part and it encompasses the first half of the play as well. And so yeah, you're not going to get to her full arc during this section. However, because the section is stretched out to movie length form, you tend to want more from your protagonist. To be fair, by the time we get to the end and she's bellowing out, defying gravity, and she's really showing what she can do, that's where she really shines. And I cannot wait to see what she does with the second half of the film itself. But right now, just based on the first half, it is kind of an underwhelming performance, and that's really a shame. Now, Ariana, on the other hand, was perfect. From the moment she is shown on screen, you know there is something special in her performance we are about to witness. She brings this silly, devilish, poppy persona that even when she's doing bad things, you can't help but still really like her. And that popular song, oh my god, that popular song. Let me tell you, no other film in 2024 got me to think more positively about a movie as a whole than with what Ariana did with that popular song. It was one of the best experiences while watching a movie last year, with maybe the final song being the only other thing that tops it. Back on the negative front, I really do think the story struggles from it being cut into two pieces. Since you don't have a full over-narrative arc, they try to focus more on these subplots more in the first half, but man, do these feel underbaked. Elphaba is supposed to be this powerful magician who loses her temper and thus causes mayhem with her powers. So she has a teacher that is trying to help her hone her craft, but that is barely shown in the film. There's like one scene and after that, nothing. They just tell you, oh, she's going to her class now. But why couldn't we see her journey of becoming a better sorcerer? They also have the sister of Elphaba who cannot walk, and honestly is the reason Elphaba's there is to take care of her sister, but she barely has any screen time. And she gets her own little subplot with this boy she kind of likes, but my god, that was nothing. It almost felt like it was put in there because she needed something to do. And then there's this whole animals being taken, them losing their ability to talk, and then like basically be treated like animals in this life, and they build this up, but again, it really doesn't lead to anything. Like these people are not in any position to really solve this issue. So whether it's going to continue on in the second film or not, in this half, it is severely underbaked, and thus it is a disappointment. Overall, I think all these subplots are disappointing, and it is a huge chunk of the film. And lastly, and I know I'm going to get crucified for saying this, I don't think a majority of the songs are catchy. Now, that's not to say that that's the movie's fault. Obviously, the songs were made for the play and the movie's just borrowing them from the play, so obviously there's not much they can do about that. But we, as an audience, still need to listen to them, and that's a problem. Apart from the two very, very catchy songs of Popular and Defying Gravity, everything else was okay at best if I'm really stretching it, and absolutely dull at worst. If there is a saving grace, apart from Ariana Grande throughout the film, and her popular song of course, it would be just how powerful that third act is. In fact, from the time they get to the Emerald City, all the way up to that epic finale, that's actually where everything really starts to get going. It's a little bit too little too late for it to save the film, but at the very least, you're going off on a high note. And talking about high notes, the Defying Gravity song, the whole scene leading up to it, her flying off into the distance, holy crap, was that an excellent way to end the film. It leaves you on this high, you're like pumped up. I can understand now why so many people said they were crying towards the end of this film, just because it is very, very powerful. And once the second part comes out, I cannot imagine anyone finishing the first part and then going, okay, yeah, we can wait till tomorrow to see the second part. No, you're going to be on this high that you immediately are going to want to jump into the second. So here's hoping the second one actually has some great stuff to it, or at least keeps the momentum high from where it leaves off here. So not as magical an experience as I would have liked it to be, I still give Wicked a 3.5 out of 5, with the recommendation to rent it. As it is, it's not a bad time. But once we get the full story, I can see the whole product earning a higher grade. Unless, of course, it just completely falls flat in the second half. But seeing as this one did manage to achieve some success with its elements, I can't see that being the case for the second.
The wizard that there is or was is ever gonna bring me
And ladies and gentlemen of the internet, that is all 10 movies reviewed. Holy smokes! What a journey it's been. Heck, play that whole The Journey song right here in this section just to make it more emotional, because I'm always so happy but sad during this moment in time, just because I'm glad it's over. The reviews are always so stressful to get out on time, to make sure everything comes out as well as I can make it. But I'm also sad that we're nearing the end, where I cannot talk about these films anymore, at least not with the same hype that we are going to ultimately lose once we know who all the winners are. And speaking of winners, you guys gotta come back tomorrow, because I still gotta go through my final Oscar predictions. So yeah, it's not over just yet. Until tomorrow, everybody, like always, stay safe out there and have a good one.